Silver Linings Playbook. The silver linings part of the title comes from the expression, every cloud has a silver lining, which means look on the bright side, or nothing is bad at all. The Silver Linings Playbook stars Bradley Cooper and Robert De Niro telling the story of Pat Soliciano Sr., a father with OCD trying to deal with his bipolar son who was just released from a mental institution. For once, it is a story focusing around those suffering from and those caring for people with special needs or a mental illness. It humanizes this experience. Written and directed by David O. Russell, the story became a personal one for two of the major players as they each deal with a child who has special needs. David, the director's son, who has a cameo in the movie, suffers from autism and bipolarity, leaned on the similarities between his family struggles and those of Pat Jr. David Russell recounts rewriting the screenplay 20 times over 5 years due to its personal nature. He told The Hollywood Reporter, "It was very personal to me. My son, I've been through this with my son and his friend, and that's why I did the movie. So when it's personal, you know that you're coming from the right place. You're not coming from a reckless place. You're coming from a very careful place. I'm 18 years deep with this kid, so I'm very invested in him and his friends." David soon learned that it wasn't just a personal story for himself, but for others. David also recounted the first meeting he had with actor Robert De Niro concerning the movie and how the actor was affected by the content. When director David O. Russell went to De Niro's house to discuss the script, he was startled to see how deeply the actor and father of 6 connected to the material on an emotional level. "While we were talking about it, I thought he was having hay fever," he said. "And then as we talked about the story of the father and the kids, I realized that he was crying, which was very uncomfortable for me. I watched him cry for 10 minutes and we resumed the meeting once he collected himself." The question becomes, what was it that had the actor, Robert De Niro, emotionally tied and upset by this project? De Niro is notoriously known for being private, not releasing much intentionally about his personal life. Speculation was fueled when the actor broke down on the Katie Couric show, stating that, "I don't like to get emotional. I know exactly what Russell goes through." Many assumed he was speaking of a family member, possibly his son, who was rumored to have autism. Reports of De Niro's son's autism was confirmed in July 2013 by John Travolta during an interview with David Letterman, wherein Letterman was making digs at De Niro for odd behavior and questioning the friendship Travolta has with him. John Travolta explained and defended that him and De Niro had bonded over both having sons with autism and sharing tips on how to deal with the illness. This would definitely explain the actor's reaction at this meeting with Russell and the breakdown over Katie Couric's talk show earlier this year. I would definitely say that Robert De Niro Jr., one of the greatest actors of our current generation, and David Russell, one of the greatest writer-directors of our current generation, has definitely turned something that is such a painful thing for most families to deal with into something that is palatable for most people who have no idea what they're going through. Silver Linings Playbook was a great movie that deserved every nomination it received, and honestly deserved way more than it received. It was a great movie with a great story, and this is just another spin on it.
Created using Powtoon.